This is about including important facts and statistics. Would you read the example from a student? Kayla Davenport.
Don't diet, eat less, eat healthy. A survey by Gallup shows that 95% of people who go on a crash diet gain back their weight.
So within the first couple of sentences of this first paragraph of an essay, a kid actually started with a statistic or a fact. And the fact is, there was a survey done by Gallup. Have you ever heard Gallup polls? People talk about Gallup polls on the news, newspaper, the radio, on television. The Gallup poll is a nationwide survey. Do your parents ever answer the phone and they're like, hang on for a moment to answer a survey? Okay, that's an example of a Gallup poll. So this is including a statistic, a survey by Gallup, which adults would recognize that word Gallup. You may not as a Gallup poll, but parents would, adults would. And that's something everyone would recognize. Because adults would recognize it, it makes it more valid, more believable, more credible, okay? And the Gallup poll showed that 95% of people who go on a crash diet, real quick weight loss, end up gaining their weight back. What do you think this person's topic is for their entire essay? Just based upon their lead, what do you think they're arguing for or against? Bryson?
Don't go on a diet, eat less, and eat healthy.
Yeah, and I don't even, yeah, you're right. It's just eat less, make healthy choices. Because if you go on crash diets, what's the statistics say, Bryson?
A survey by Gallup shows that 95%
5%.
of people who go on crash diets.
So would it be safe to say almost everybody, 95% of people gain their weight back? That's a pretty good statistic to just, boom, right up at the beginning. You know, hey, you might be setting yourself up for failure. 95% of the people who go on a crash diet gain their weight back. So when you're able to have a statistic or a fact by something that's recognizable like Gallup, that's going to really add some credibility or believability to your argument, okay? So that's number one. We now have number 2, the anecdote, number 3, quoting an authority, and number 4, using background information. What I'm going to ask you to do is we're going to be in groups of 3, and you need to sit like in a triangle. I want each one of you to take turns reading each of those 3 examples, and then as a group I want you to decide which ones you like and why you think it's effective. So go ahead and turn so you're in a group of 3. Yeah, your knees might even need to kind of touch each other. And then if you need, you might need to get up and move.
Okay.
Bryson, how about you turn right around there by Annie and Maria? Laurel, how about you join these folks right here? What did you need in that before? Can you join them?
Oh, yeah. You give fair. If that includes the background information, that or maybe things about cell phones or Andy artists. If she didn't have that cell phone, she would have been how we should so we just do. Yeah, because if nobody's there, you might hate it. Yeah. You have it right.
Which ones do you think are most effective? Which ones do?
I think it's about
how like after school clubs can help kids stay out of trouble. After school
Or is that what you're doing? You're like talking about how you write one? Okay.
Kind of what Brandon said. So we made it. Like include some we should have needed a dress.
Which one do you think are the most effective?
Okay. Let's turn back around. Okay, our second type of a lead for persuasive essay is the anecdote. Would you read the student example of an anecdote? Tyler. Imagine.
Imagine that Sally, a student, is the only one in the locker room. Everyone else is in the gym. She trips and falls. She can't move because her legs hurts too much. Her leg hurts too much. But fortunately, her cell phone is handy, so she texts her mom, who calls the school. Within an hour, Sally's in an emergency room having her leg x-rayed.
Okay. Who can tell me what they think the topic of that essay is? What are we trying to persuade people to do or say yes to?
Have your phone at school?
You want to have your phone with you at school all day long, right? That's an example of an anecdote. Can you picture it?
Yeah.
There's Sally on the ground in the locker room. Help, help. But nobody hears her. It's kind of like the commercial for the I'm falling and I can't get up thing, right? So at least she's got her cell phone. Wouldn't that make a great commercial? Yeah. Okay, good. Question or comment about that? Or do you want to read the next one?
I have a comment.
Okay, what's that?
I think that it could maybe be like, make sure you clean up after stuff.
Oh, because she tripped and fell?
She tripped over
Possibly.
something else.
But I think because they're saying, fortunately, which is another word for luckily,
Yeah.
she's got her cell phone. Whips it out, calls mom. An hour later, she's getting answered. Okay, pretty good. How about the third one? Quote an authority. Read the example, the student example, Maria.
After school clubs keep students engaged in their interests and off the streets. So Mr. Earl, principal of the school.
Okay, so what do you think this essay is in favor of? James, what do you think?
After school club.
After school clubs. Do you think this Mr. Farrell person would be someone that their school board would recognize? Definitely. He's the principal, right? Do you think it'd be someone the teachers would recognize? Yeah. And do you think that Mr. Farrell probably does know if this is a good idea or not?
Yeah.
Probably. He's the principal. He's probably is an authority that can say, yeah, I've noticed that kids aren't getting in as much trouble when they're involved with after-school activities. So that's a good example of a quote from an authority that might know something about the topic. How about the fourth one? This is including background information. Okay? Cooper, would you read the student example?
10 years ago, there was no dress code school. Like today, no students dress appropriately. The guidance counselors spoke to students who were inappropriately dressed.
Good. So see, we went back and said, hey, 10 years ago there was no dress code. And if there was a problem, they dealt with it. What do you think this one, what do you think that essay would be in favor of? What do you think the whole essay was about, the topic? Brady? Yeah. Or even no uniforms, right? Yeah. Okay, good. So it's giving that background information saying it's not been a problem in the past, it's not really still a problem today, therefore, why do we need to change or something like that. So of those 4 examples, or 4 types, I'm sorry, the 4 types of leads, which ones did you think were the most effective, or which ones did you like? They appealed to you. Maria, what did you like?
I like the anecdote.
The anecdote? I think a lot of people like the anecdote.
Because if you create a story, I think with the summer one, it helps the readers understand a short story of what it could be for.
Yeah.
I've already thought of
Yeah. You've already got an anecdote in your mind too? I think a lot of people do. Isn't that a good way to kind of establish mood? Like the whole summer one, you got the kids' joy and their happiness because school's out. And then you're like, oh, so why would we want to have year-round school, right? So this anecdote of, you got this poor girl who's hurt, she's all alone, she needs help. So I think you can kind of establish mood a little bit, which gets your reader to kind of be right in the middle of it all, huh? Okay, so a lot of people liked anecdote. Were there any others that appealed to you? You liked them. Chase? Quoting an authority. Why did you like that?
Because you're taking someone who has a lot of responsibility as or has a high job.
Yeah. So it's maybe someone who's really respected.
Yeah.
And people will be like, if Mr. Ziegler thinks that's a good idea, then this kid's onto something, right? Don't people do that all the time on commercials?
Yeah.
You get famous people to say, hey, LeBron James loves Sprite. And if LeBron James drinks Sprite, then by golly, I want to drink Sprite too. So I can shoot hoops like he does. Okay, yes. What did you like?
I like facts and statistics.
You like number 1. Yeah, my daughter would totally pick number 1. She's all about facts and statistics. Because why?
There's proof or something.
Yeah.
And there's a higher chance of it being true.
People might listen to you, right? It's like being in court, and you're like, here are the facts, people.
Evidence.
Yeah. And if you looked it up and you found out that this was something that backs up what you're saying, people are like, whoa, he's got a point. Okay, the only one we haven't mentioned yet is the 4th one. Is there anyone who liked the 4th one? Bryson?
I like the 4th one because if you're trying to, obviously we're trying to, but if they're trying to persuade somebody,
Yes.
it's well, back then we did this, why can't we do it today? Right.
And even if it's back then we did that, it was a bad idea, so let's don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You could do it that way too, right? I mean, aren't we supposed to learn from history? I kind of like number 4 as well, because I kind of like to give background information. This is where we were, this is where we are today, to kind of fill in the reader, make them feel a little more involved or educated on the topic. Yes,
I
ma'am?
think on number 2, it kind of makes you want to read more because
It's like a hook, isn't it?
You want to read more.
You're going to find out more. That's a good idea. Yes.
I think that sometimes number 4, it'd be what it was back then may have been better.
That could be.
They could think that it was better back then.
Back in the good old
So
days.
they wouldn't want to do it.
That's true. That is true. And I kind of see 2 and 4 being a little similar because they're both kind of telling stories. I mean, number 2 is totally telling an anecdote or a story. Number 4 is kind of like a little bit of a story, but you're giving background information as well. Okay, good. What you're going to do now is on your paper. Now listen, if your paper is like mine, the paper that has the topic on it, and all you have is the front side used, like I did a pro and con list, and then I also just did a regular list. But if the back of your notebook paper is blank, you can do this assignment on that. If the back of your paper is actually your master list of all the different ideas, you're probably going to get a new piece of paper out. Because what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to choose 2 of these and come up with 2 different leads using 2 types. Now, if you're someone who wants to go with number 1, a fact or a stat, what you would do is in parentheses, just look up a fact or a stat about whatever, okay? If you're someone who likes number 3, quoting an authority, what you would do is in parentheses get a quote from so-and-so. Maybe you already have somebody in mind who would be a good person to get a quote from, okay? clear on that? Okay, let's head back to your seats then and write some leads.